Ted Hughes is one of the finest British poets of the second half of the 20th century and easily the finest animal poet of the English language. The animal poems of Ted Hughes are spectacular expositions of his remarkable powers of observation, his scintillating skills of detailed description, and above all, his extraordinary abilities to relate profoundly to animals and birds. The Thought Fox is the most famous poem in the first collection of Ted Hughes, titled The Hawk in the Rain. The fox, which is at the center of the thematics of the Thought Fox, is much more than a fox in flesh and blood. It is also a concept. It is also a spirit. It is also magic. Before I start reading the text of the Thought Fox, I would like to point out that Ted Hughes spent his childhood, spent the formative years of his life as a poet in Yorkshire, and that foxes are very common in Yorkshire, both in the towns and in the countryside. The red fox, which is one of the iconic species of England, of the United Kingdom, is common in Yorkshire. Yorkshire is a natural habitat of the red fox. The foxes that Ted Hughes came across as a child appear to have made an indelible impression in his mind, and that is probably one of the reasons why this famous poem came to be written. As usual, we shall open the discussion with a critical examination of the title of the poem. What is the title of the poem? The Thought Fox. I've already said that this is a very fine animal poem, an amazing example of the art of Ted Hughes as an animal poet. Thus, there is a fox standing at the center of the thematics of the poem. But it is no ordinary fox. It is the thought fox. The subject matter of the poem actually is the arrival of inspiration to a poet, facilitating his writing of a poem. This inspiration, this thought, is visualized as a fox. There is no doubt that the fox in this poem will live forever. Individual foxes may be killed, but the fox in the present poem will not die as long as the poem exists. I would like to try to remember a few lines from Poetry in the Making, in which Ted Hughes says, I quote, long after I am gone, as long as a copy of the poem exists, every time anyone reads it, the fox will get up somewhere out of the darkness and come walking towards them. Unquote. Why fox? Let us try to answer the question why the poet has chosen the fox and not some other animal. The poet could very well have written the thought wild boar, or the thought porcupine, but the poet chose to title his poem The Thought Fox. Why? There are very strong reasons for this choice. Centuries of folk tales. Folk tales narrated over the centuries have established the image of the fox as a very intelligent creature, even a very cunning creature, even a very sly creature. The fox is said to be a notorious animal to hunt. It very frequently succeeds in escaping the hunters. It is very difficult to catch a fox. The fox is certainly the most cerebral of wild animals. All these reasons make the fox a perfect symbol for inspiration, a perfect symbol for the poet's mind at work. Above all, the fox is basically a nocturnal creature, and the typical poet, at least according to Ted Hughes, is a nocturnal worker. In the present poem, the poet tries to write a poem at the dead of night. At night, when the rest of the world goes to sleep, the poet allows his imagination to wander, and the fox allows itself to wander.